Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Business Taxation. Today we're going to talk about input value added tax. Our reference for today, again from Rex Banggawan, Business and Transfer Taxation 2019. Okay, and today we are so excited and I'm so pumped, man. I'm so inspired to share with you what does it mean to have this input VAT. We talked about earlier about value added tax on output and our sales. And this time we're going to talk about input VAT on our purchases. Okay, guys? So get your notes, get your highlighters, get your book, and let's jump in and lean in to this episode of Taxation. So we're back to Module 7, Input VAT or Input Value Added Tax. So guys, we're gonna try to, well, it's a challenge for me to speak Ilonggo, English, and try natin Tagalog. Okay? Okay. Let's make it more exciting. If there's a bloopers, just type haha or anything funny dira sa aton nga live chat. Okay guys? Again, as we start, just be in the moment. Be focused and yeah, set aside anything. I know you are pressured for tomorrow nga exam Wednesday. And today is Tuesday and I'm so pumped. I'm so excited to share this with you. So it's one of the uh, easy topics under the tax system in the Philippines, and hopefully we could learn together. I am learning, you are learning, and I'm so happy, guys. Just want to share this precious time with you. Okay, so would like to appreciate your time, your effort, your mga sleepless nights. May ban sa inyo, there's um, mga 2 hours lang mga sleep nyo or 3 hours, no? So, you have lots of topics pa to tackle with the different subjects this summer. And I am so excited, guys, to be with you tonight. Thank you so much. Thank you for spending time with me, and congratulations sa mga tatlo natin yung winners, no? It's just to pop the bubble, no? Just to pop those um mga stress sa life natin. So just to give you some sort of motivation. Hindi man makabayad sa inyong wifi the whole month, but it's at least, di ba? Naka-baton man ka mo. Isang kamay lang alone. Okay. Okay. So guys, let's start. Our objective for today, after we discuss our this module 7 regarding the input VAT. Okay. Try natin to determine the input VAT, the ano yung concept behind it sa creditable input VAT and its mga requirements. Okay, paano maging creditable. Okay. Number 3, ano yung mga types of input VAT that we have here in the Philippines and their timing of credit. Kailan siya kinikredit? Kailan siya minaminus? Okay? Number 4, allocation of non-traceable. Anong ginagawa dun sa mga hindi matrace na input VAT? Paano siya i-allocate? Okay? Number 5, paano i-compute? And paano natin i-present yung total allowable input VAT? Okay? Basically, these 5 topics, ito yung kailangan nating maintindihan at the end of this discussion. And hopefully, I could help you to enlighten or just to elaborate our book, okay, by Banggawan, Business and Transfer Taxation 2019. Okay. To start with, ano ba yung tinatawag na input VAT? So, we have this definition. Input VAT refers to the VAT due or paid. Yan yung binayaran ng VAT registered person on importation or local purchases of goods, properties, or services. Okay? Kasama yan sa binayaran ng VAT registered person. Lease or use of properties, okay, in the course of his trade or business. So, paano natin malalaman ano yung input VAT sa binayaran natin bilang isang VAT registered person? Okay, the VAT on purchase is usually reflected, separate siya na item sa VAT invoice or mga VAT official receipt, okay, issued by VAT registered supplier. Okay, yung nag-i-issue lang to guys, only those VAT registered supplier. Pag hindi ka VAT registered, syempre wala kang input VAT na pinapatong or nilalagay na separate item sa invoice. Okay? Sige, to illustrate ang concept ng input VAT. So may selling price tayo, okay? 500,000. Ito yung in-issue ng supplier natin. So kumbaga tayo yung buyer. In-issue. Tapos may charge yung supplier natin na output VAT which is equivalent to 12%. 12%. So 500,000 times 12% equals 60,000. So yan yung mina-markup nila, dinadagdag nila sa selling price na nagiging 560. Ngayon, yung concept dito, 'di ba, seller, pag sa seller na part, yung tawag doon sa VAT na inad niya, output VAT. Pag tayo yung buyer naman, ang tawag natin diyan is ang input VAT. Okay? Pag ikaw seller, output. Pag ikaw buyer, input naman yung tawag. Okay? Kuha ba guys? Okay? Ano ba yung creditable input VAT naman? Okay? Hindi raw lahat, continue, hindi lahat ng VAT na binayaran on purchases is pwedeng i-credit or i-deduct against sa output VAT. Okay? Ibig sabihin, kung VAT registered ka, di ba, sa mga sales mo, may na-add ka na output VAT. Sa mga purchases mo naman, may mina-minus ka naman na input. Pero sinasabi sa law natin, hindi lahat ng input VAT pwede makredit. Hindi lahat ng input VAT pwedeng i-minus, okay? Or i-minus output VAT. Bakit sir? Kasi we have this requirement, okay? Requisites of a creditable input VAT. Apat lang to guys actually. So, number 1, kailangan daw yung input VAT have been paid or na-incur, okay, in the course of trade or business. Okay. May tatawag tayo minsan sa accounting, 'di ba? May accruals, may yun, 'di ba, upon incurrence or meron ding cash basis o upon payment, ganun yung pag-record mo. So importante there is a legal obligation to accrue sa side ng isang buyer. Okay? So dapat daw has been paid, kung hindi man nabayaran, na-incur, nangyari yung expense. Pag hindi pa nangyayari, kumbaga for next year pa na budget, so hindi ka pa pwede mag-record ng input VAT. Okay? Yan yung ibig sabihin ng number 1. Okay, punta tayo sa number 2. The input VAT is evidenced by, tandaan natin guys, dapat may VAT invoice or VAT official receipt. Okay, receipt. Okay? Pag wala yan, mga invoice na yan, example sa hangin lang yung resibo mo or yung mga resibo nyo, hindi siya official or printed ng BIR, okay? BIR printers, no? May mga accreditation pa yan. So hindi, kung gawa-gawa lang siya or mga binibili sa supermarket na mga resibo, hindi mo yan pwedeng makredit sa output VAT mo. Or else, pag nakita ni BIR, magkakaroon ka ng penalty. Ang tawag nila dyan, disallowances. Dinidisallow yung input VAT mo. Bakit mo minus yung input VAT tapos wala rin palang pinakitang official receipt or VAT invoice? Tapos yung resibo mo pala, gawa-gawa lang. Okay? So, hindi siya pwede. Number 3. Okay, a VAT invoice or receipt must be issued by a VAT registered person. Okay? Tandaan natin guys, VAT registered person. Pag hindi sila VAT registered, like yung mga taxpayer natin na subject sa percentage tax, hindi ka pwede mag-avail ng input VAT. Eh sir, may resibo naman sila. Tapos pagkita mo, ay, hindi naman pala sila VAT registered. So bakit ako nag-record ng input VAT? So hindi siya pwede guys. So dapat only VAT registered person lang. And lastly, input VAT. Input VAT is incurred in relation to VATable sales, not from exempt sales. Okay. Meron tayo guys, VAT registered person or taxpayer yung binilhan natin. Pero yung item na binili natin minsan, exempt sales. Hindi siya pwedeng patungan ng supplier ng 12% na output VAT like yung mga bigas, like yung mga ano pa, mga raw sugar or anything, no, mga gulay. So although yung supplier natin, it might be or they might be a VAT registered person, pero hindi naman vatable sales yun. So hindi mo pwedeng makredit yung input VAT doon. Kasi wala namang input VAT na charge doon. Okay? Okay, so dapat yung apat na requirement to guys, nasa nakalagay sa problem para magamit natin as creditable yung input VAT. Okay? Sige, to illustrate, no, para mas maliwanag yung explanation natin on input VAT. Mrs. Aguilar had a 230,000 pesos output VAT in the month. Okay? She also made, so bumili siya, no, during the month. Meron siyang goods from non-VAT suppliers. Well, inaalam lang natin dito guys, okay, to shorten, ano yung pwede niyang ma-record or ma-credit doon sa output VAT niya. Ano yung pwedeng ma-credit na input VAT, okay, na pwedeng ma-minus doon sa output VAT niya, okay? Of course, yung number one, hindi siya pwede kasi non-VAT suppliers, di ba? The only thing na pwede dito, yung goods from VAT suppliers with VAT invoices. Okay? And also, ano pa yung pwede niyang ma-record? Ito, importation of car for personal use. Sabi natin sa task kanina, dapat in the course of business, di ba? So, personal use, hindi naman kasama yan. Okay? Importation of grapes and apples for sale. Exempt naman yan eh, di ba? So, VAT exempt. So, hindi siya pwedeng mag-avail ng input VAT. How about yung importation of merchandise for sale? VAT inclusive. Okay? Importation. So, nag-import ka ng merchandise na for sale. Okay? Subject siya sa VAT. So, pwede ka mag-record ng VAT on importation. Services from VAT suppliers, evidenced by ordinary receipts. Ano sabi sa taas kanina? Dapat official receipts, not ordinary. Okay? VAT invoice or official receipts. So, hindi siya pwede. Tama? Ayan, no? Sa baba nakalagay. Rather than official is not creditable. Okay? The term ordinary. So, yung dalawa lang. Okay. Para mag-arrive tayo sa magkano yung 12% VAT niyan. So, since ang nakalagay na pricing is VAT inclusive, dito sa taas, with VAT invoices, yung 224, okay? Silent siya, di ba? So, pag silent, inclusive. Okay, general rule. Okay, inclusive siya kasi VAT, from VAT suppliers. Okay? Therefore, yung total creditable input VAT natin is 120. Okay? From 224, again, VAT invoices, VAT suppliers, and 896 importation. Of course, VATable sales yan. Tama? Okay. So, the VAT due of Mrs. Aguilar shall be, ano yung due niya? Okay? Sales, meron siyang sales, 230,000 times mo 12%. Okay? Less input VAT niya. Okay? Actually, hindi to sales, no? Total output VAT na to. So, 230. Less mo yung pwede lang credit na 120. So, yung net na babayaran niya, 230 less 120 equals to 110. So, ito yung i-remit niya kay BIR, yung VAT due niya. Okay? Yan yung purpose ng input VAT. Kaya sinasabi natin, pag creditable, pwede siyang makredit. Okay? pwede siyang ma-minus. Yan yung ibig niyang sabihin. Okay? Number 2, illustration. Balay-Balay Corporation had the following input VAT during the quarter. Okay? Tinatanong lang dito, magkano yung creditable input VAT? Okay? Ano ba yung isa-isahin natin? Input VAT traceable to regular domestic sales. Of course, traceable siya. At the same time, regular domestic sales. Dito naman sa number 2, nakalagay naman technically, nakalagay talaga na VAT exempt. So hindi, wala siyang input. 30,000. Okay? And number 3, of course, export sales na VAT traceable. So, subject din siya sa input VAT. So, yan yung creditable input VAT. Rather, these are total input VAT na. Okay? Kung sa problem, so you don't have to multiply it sa 12%. Kasi yan yung input VAT total during the quarter. Okay? Kuha? So, that's the basic concept of creditable input VAT. So, importante, again, apat na requirement na to or requisites, no? Kasama siya doon sa kumbaga naka-comply siya sa apat. Okay, pag isa yung kulang diyan, hindi siya pwede ma-credit. Ayos. Okay, let's move forward. Okay? Meron tayong different types of input VAT and we will explain this further during our discussion today. So, 6 yan. Transitional, regular, so meron ding amortization deferred input VAT, presumptive, standard, and input VAT carryover. Ano-anong ibig sabihin ng mga yan? Okay, madali lang yan guys. Okay? Let's start with transitional number 1, input VAT. Okay, by term, nagta-transition. Lumilipat siya, di ba? Transition, meaning who becomes liable as sa VAT or any person who elects to be VAT registered shall be given an initial input tax credit equivalent to 2% of the beginning inventory of goods or supplies. In short, guys, example ako, nag-register ako tapos non-VAT initially. So, subject ako sa general percentage tax na 3%. Ngayon, kung naging, because yung threshold ko, example, magpas ng 3 million. So, subject na ako sa VAT. Or, below ako 3 million pero gusto kong mag-register sa VAT. There is a transition from percentage tax. Okay? Going to, okay? Kaya sinabing transitional, di ba? Mayroong transition. So, going to VAT registered taxpayer. So, sabi ni BIR, sabi ng National Internal Revenue Code natin, pwede tayong mag-avail, okay, ng 2% input tax credit. Okay, 2% ng ng beginning inventory. Example, yung beginning inventory ko is 1 million. Pwede akong mag-avail ng 2%. So, that's 20,000. Pwede kong gamitin as input tax. Okay? Meron lang requirement sa baba, the value allowed for income tax purposes on inventory shall be the basis of computation of the 2% transitional input VAT. In short, kung anong nireport ko sa income tax na amount ng inventory, yun yung basis natin sa transitional input VAT. Okay? Pero dapat supported din siya. Yung inventory actual count, meron kang stock inventory talaga, monthly or annual, to support para nag-audit si BIR. May isusupport ka. Saan nanggaling yung 2% transitional input VAT? So, dapat tally siya doon when you make your FS and income tax return. So, goods exempt from VAT shall be excluded. Okay? Excluded guys Kailangan natin exclude ang goods exempt from VAT. Kasi hindi naman talaga subject to input VAT, di ba? So, excluded siya dapat in the computation of transitional input VAT. In short, yung input VAT is based, again, as we discussed, beginning. Okay? Based on beginning inventories in the month of registration as a VAT taxpayer. Yan lang yung transitional input VAT. So, ano ba yung behind ano yung rationale, okay, behind transitional input VAT. Yan. Non-VAT taxpayers are not allowed, okay, not allowed sila to claim input VAT. Hence, the VAT they pay on their purchases is part of their cost. Okay, part siya ng cost. Ayan. Cost or expenses. However, their sales of pre-VAT registration inventory become instantly vatable after they register as VAT taxpayers. As such, the law deemed it equitable. So para hindi naman unfair sa taxpayer na nag-choose nga siya mag-VAT, di ba? For them to be given an incentive. So, form of incentive siya guys, yung transitional input VAT. Okay, tandaan natin merong word na however. Okay? However, it must be noted that VAT exempt, inulit lang, no? VAT exempt goods are not, okay, not subject to output VAT when sold. Of course, kasi VAT exemption. Tama? VAT exempt goods when sold. Hence, there would be no basis to claim transitional input VAT on them. Okay. Clarify naman sa Revenue Memorandum Circular in 2005, clarify that exempt beginning inventory shall be excluded on the basis. Inulit lang yung nasa taas na explanation. Okay? Okay. Just to give you some illustration. Iloilo General Merchandise exceeded the VAT threshold. So, same din sa example natin kanina. Nag-exceed siya sa VAT threshold. So, magta-transition siya, di ba? So, ano yung transitional VAT dito? Sabi natin, yung VAT exempt na mga goods shall be excluded. So, dapat hindi siya kasama sa computation. Tama? Okay. Let's identify one by one. Frozen meat, eggs, and dried fish. Diba? Ano siya? VAT exempt. Okay. Fruits and vegetable, of course, VAT exempt din siya. Groceries, appliances, taxable siya. So, yung appliances, kaso, okay, yung appliances pala, rather, from non-VAT supplier, so walang input, okay, wala kang input VAT na na-record sa mga binili mo. Tama? Ito lang yung grocery item lang meron. So, ito lang, 22,400. I-work back mo siya, kunin mo yung 12% VAT. So, times 12 over mo sa 112. So, yung total is 2,400. Ngayon, yung transitional input VAT natin, di ba sabi, based on the beginning inventory. Okay, beginning inventory magkano? Okay? Yung net nun, di ba, 22,400, minusan mo ng VAT niya. Okay? I think there's a correction, no? This should be, okay, 20,000 yan dapat. Tama? Okay, dapat 20,000. Minus mo 20,000. So, total, plus mo yung appliances. Okay? Sir, bakit kasama yung appliances? Kasi, hindi naman siya VAT exempt. Okay? Hindi siya VAT exempt. Tama? Part siya ng inventory. Sabi sa taas, dapat yung mga VAT exempt goods. Okay? Hindi naman VAT exempt lang. Yan yung compared dito sa taas. Diba? Mga VAT exempt items siya. Okay? Kasama yung appliance. Non-VAT nga lang. Okay? So, either yung supplier mo is subject to percentage tax lang. So, kasama siya dito. 50,000. Sabi natin 2% yung transitional input VAT. So, magkano yung 2%? 1,000. So, sabi sa law natin, whichever is higher. So, sa problem, i-choose natin yung 2,4. Kasi siya yung mas mataas, di ba? Compared mo doon sa 1,000 na computation natin ng 2% o beginning inventory. Of course, si BIR, yung mas mataas ng tax, yan yung kukunin niya. Okay? So, basically, yun lang about sa transitional input VAT. And again, meron tayong requirement, the taxpayer must submit an inventory list of goods. Okay, dapat may inventory list tayo kasi dyan mag-base yung BIR. Magkano ba yung transitional input VAT mo? Okay, hindi lang na nakatingin ka lang sa langit, magkano kaya yung ano ko, gusto kong i-declare. Hindi yan pwede guys. So dapat mayroong basis talaga kung saan ang galing yung 2% natin. Number 2, the taxpayer must prepare an entry. Okay? Entry meaning journal entry yan guys ha. Hindi yung entry kahit saan. Entry sa school, entry sa hotel, or journal entry yan, ibig sabihin. Okay? Sa libro natin. Okay? Recognizing the transitional VAT. If VAT credit is in his accounting books. Ayan. So itong dalawang requirement dapat um, present before ka makaklaim ng transitional input VAT. Okay. Number 2, we have this classification ng input VAT. Okay? Kung may transitional, mayroon tayong regular input VAT. So basically, yung regular input VAT, yung usual lang natin. Usual 12% na input VAT. No? Okay. Domestic purchase of goods, services, or properties, or importation. So kasama parati yung importation. Nag-import ka, bumili ka from outside Philippines, no? So nag-import ka, papasok sa Philippines. Domestic meaning bumili ka within the Philippines. Okay? Ano yung timing? Ano yung timing ng pag-credit of regular input VAT? Pag bumili ka ng goods or properties in the month of purchase, dun mo siya i-credit. I-credit meaning ma-minus mo dun sa output VAT kung kailan ka bumili. Okay. Purchase of services, kung kailan ka nagbayad. Okay? Dun mo siya i-report. Importation of goods, nag-import ka in the month VAT is paid. Kailan ka nagbayad ng ng VAT? Kailan ka bumili ng kumbaga binayaran mo yung importation, okay? Purchase of depreciable capital goods or properties. General treatment in the month of purchase. Kung kailan ka talaga bumili. Yan yung general treatment natin, general rule. Okay, ano yung special? When the monthly aggregate acquisition exceeds 1 million, let's remember, note this guys kailangan natin tandaan yung 1 million na ceiling. Okay, amortize over useful life. Okay, in months or 60 months, whichever is shorter. Okay, tandaan natin in general daw, in the month of purchase, pag bumili ka ng depreciable goods, ano ba yung mga depreciable goods? Like yung mga tawag dito? Equipments, no? Mga machineries, di ba? Malalaki ang amount niyan. Okay? Example, di ba sa Iloilo, mabilis yung very frequent yung brownout. So, pagod ka kung gabi. So, nag-decide ka, bili ka ng generator set na sobrang laki na pwedeng magpandar ng isang barangay, no? Kasi dami mong pera. So, bumili ka ng depreciable capital goods. Okay, yung ceiling natin 1 million. Kung below 1 million siya, pwede mo siyang i-report whole amount. Example, 950,000. So, multiply mo 12% na input VAT. Yan yung pwede mo makredit for the month of purchase. Yan, sabi ni BIR, pag more than 1 million, kailangan mong i-amortize over useful life in months or 60 months, whichever is shorter. Okay? 60 months or useful life niya. So, the shorter, pag sumobra siya ng 60 months, example, 80 months, so yung susundin mo, 60 months. Kasi shorter, di ba? Okay. What will happen kung you purchase of non-depreciable vehicles, okay? And on maintenance incurred thereon. Sabi sa revenue regulation natin, not creditable siya. Okay? Purchase of non-depreciable vehicles. Kasi hindi naman siya depreciable . Only the depreciable lang. Okay? And on maintenance incurred thereon. Okay guys? Ano ba yung mga vehicle na non-depreciable? Usually mga patapon na to, di ba? Wala na siyang market value. So, ano pang input na igagamitin mo doon? Only those depreciable vehicles. Okay, kasama na yan dito sa goods or properties, di ba? Na depreciable. So, ito lang yung not creditable. Ito lang yung hindi mo pwedeng gamitin kasi non-depreciable na siya. Wala na siyang actually useful life. Tama? Okay. Input VAT. Okay, isa-isahin natin ha. Input VAT of capital goods or properties. Okay, to elaborate yung 1 million. Okay, sabi natin, if the monthly aggregate acquisition cost of depreciable capital goods does not exceed 1 million, okay, let's remember this 1 million amount. The input VAT is claimable in the month of purchase. So, inulit lang, no? As we discussed earlier. Exceeds, what will happen kung sumobra siya ng 1 million? Siyempre, yung ceiling naman natin is 60 months. Okay? Whichever is shorter. Okay? I-divide mo siya sa useful life. Okay. Depende sa sa pag-set ng company, ano. Kung magkano ba yung useful life ng equipment, magkano ba yung useful life ng truck. Okay? Example dito si Sulan company, may binili siya na capital goods. Ano yung example ng capital goods? Equipment and truck. So yung overall price niya is 1.3. Tama? Di ba nag-exceed siya ng 1 million? Okay? Nag-exceed siya ng 1 million. Aggregate. Okay? Tawag dito sa baba, explanation, aggregate. Meaning total niya is 1.3. Sobra siya sa ceiling? Yes. Okay. So meaning pala sir, yung kailangan mo i-add para ma-reach niya yung ceiling. Oo, kasi sa reporting mo naman sa BIR, di ba? Total input VAT naman. Yung ayaw lang ni BIR, minus mo lahat ng input VAT mo. So, yung BIR gusto niyang i-allocate yung i-minus sa output VAT para may makolect naman si BIR sa output VAT, di ba? Mas liliit yung monthly na deduction mo dun sa output VAT. Tama? I think yan yung rationale behind it. Bakit kailangan pa i-allocate ng 60 months or 5 years, no? So, 60 months equivalent to 5 years. The input VAT on these properties shall be amortized. Okay? Kailangan siyang i-amortize over a period not exceeding 60 months. Okay? So, yung 72, sabi sa problem, 4 years. So, i-divide mo siya sa 48 months. Okay? Ayan. 72. So, every month, mayroon siyang i-credit, ilalagay sa input VAT na 1.5 or 1,500. Starting, kailan siya mag-start? Kung kailan siya nag-start, kailan siya bumili. Okay? Okay. Until 2024. Other one, so naset ng companies 10 years or 120. Well, sa problem naman, nakalagay naman dyan kung ano yung useful life niya. So, there's no problem naman about it. Okay? So, i-divide. So, add mo lang to, 1.5 tsaka 1.4. So, meron kang input VAT na monthly, 2,900. 1.5 plus 1.4. Okay. Sale of or transfer of depreciable capital goods within 5 years. Ano ba ibig sabihin yan? Kung yung depreciable property daw, depreciable meaning ito, di ba? Equipment and truck is sold or transferred within 5 years prior to, example, hindi pa na-exhaust yung dinidivide mo kasi 2024 pa, mauubos yung equipment. What will happen dun sa input tax na hindi pa naubos amortize? Example, within 5 years, nabenta mo siya, diba? Less than 5 years. The entire, sabi ng law, unamortized input tax. Yung tawag dyan, deferred. Okay? Tandaan na, deferred yung tawag dyan, input tax. Yung portion na unamortized. Diba? Overall kasi, diba, sa equipment, meron siyang 72,000 na input VAT. Ngayon, binenta niya before mag-lapse yung 5 years. Okay, 5 years. Example dito, 4 years. Diba? Hindi pa natapos yung 4 years. So, meron balance na unamortized yung tawag. Unamortized input, VAT tawag dyan, deferred. Okay? Deferred meaning unused pa, di ba? Unamortized on the capital goods transferred can be claimed. Ayan. Pwede siya ma-claim, guys, as input tax credit during the calendar month or quarter when the sale or transfer was made. Okay? Pwede siya ma-claim. Okay? Sino mag-claim? Siyempre yung nagbenta. Di ba? Kanya yung property. Unamortized, nasa balance sheet mo yun. Di ba? Nakalagay deferred input tax. So, naka-debit yan. So, gagamitin mong credit. So, reverse mo lang. Gawin mong deduction sa output VAT mo. Tama? Pwede siyang ma-claim. Okay? Keyword can be claimed as input tax during the calendar month or quarter within that period lang. Okay? When the sale or transfer was made. Okay. Next, scheduled phase out of amortization treatment. So, phase out. Under the train law, ito bagong-bago. Effective pa to actually 2022. Okay? Pero pasadahan na lang din natin. The amortization treatment of deferred input VAT will be phased out. Okay? If you phase out na siya, effective January 1. So, there's no amortization treatment na. Previously recognized deferred input VAT will continue to be amortized even after that date, but the deferral treatment will be stopped na yan. Okay? Siyempre, pampagulo pa yan sa BIR. They wanted to simplify na lang. No? There's no amortization na. Tatanggalin na yan. Okay? Input VAT on capital goods will be claimed. Again, our keyword is outright. Outright, meaning, wala nang ganito. Wala na siyang input VAT na pwedeng installment or pwede siyang i-amortize. Okay, the right terms. Hindi na siya pwedeng i-amortize. On the month na lang, diretso na lang, di ba? Pampagulo pa sa BIR. So, yeah, outright. Pero effective pa siya sa January 1, 2022. So, less than 2 years from now. Okay? Ano yung mga special rules on input tax credit? So, may mga special rules tayo on input tax credit. Okay? Number 1, for non-depreciable, sabi natin, mga ubos na yung useful life ng vehicle, like yung mga second hand, di ba? Mga 5-year-old, mga 10-year-old, okay? Number 2, construction in progress. So, mga hindi pa tapos na construction ng building or ng whatever establishment, So, construction in progress. May mga special rules din on input tax credit. Number 3, purchase of real property on installment. Okay, purchase of property on installment, meaning bumili ka ng lupa, bumili ka ng bahay, house and lot, tapos naka siya sa bangko, 'di ba? Naka loan. So partly hindi pa yan sa'yo, di ba? Hindi pa sa'yo yung property talaga kasi naka pa yan sa bangko yung title. So, there's a special treatment doon sa input tax credit natin. Number 4 naman, we will talk about purchase of goods or properties deemed sold. Di ba? Meron tayong mga deemed sales. Okay? So, ngayon, may mga purchases tayo na parang deemed sold siya. Okay? Let's discuss number 1. Input VAT on non-depreciable vehicle. Ito yung mga special rules. Okay? Sa taas, guys, okay, baka ma-confuse kayo. Yung sa taas, yun yung mga general rules. Okay? Pero usually, during the exam, dito tayo nagkakamali, sa mga special rules on input tax credit. Okay? I-go over lang natin. Input VAT on non-depreciable vehicle. Okay? Rules on deductibility. So, ito yung mga rules para ma-deduct siya of depreciation. Okay? Depreciation expense, di ba? Part yan ng profit and loss statement natin. Only one vehicle for land transport. Okay. One vehicle, the keyword. Yan yung mga tatandaan natin. One vehicle for land transport is allowed for you for the use of an official or employee, the value of which should not exceed 2.4 million. Okay. No depreciation, letter B. No depreciation shall be allowed to yachts, okay, helicopters, airplanes and or aircrafts, and land vehicles which exceeds, again, 2.4 million. Okay. Ito yung amount kailangan nating tandaan, guys, ha. Should not exceed, which exceed, no? Uh, unless the taxpayer main line of business is transport. Okay. Meron naman tayo dito, guys, unless. So, kailangan din natin i-remember yan. Unless daw, yung taxpayer, yung main line of business niya is transport. So, kumbaga, part siya ng uh, tawag doon, parang usual business niya, line of business, transport of equipment, no? Transport equipment and vehicles are used in the said operations. So, ito yung exemption niya. Exemption, meaning pwede siyang i-deduct doon sa profit and loss statement niya. Kasi sabi, no depreciation daw shall be allowed dito sa mga yate, helicopter, airplanes, which exceed. Okay? Pag nag-exceed ka sa 2.4, hindi ka pwedeng mag-deduct, okay, ng depreciation. Unless yung main line of business mo, okay, the keyword here is main line of business, okay, is transport operations. Letter C. The purchase must be substantiated with sufficient evidence such as official receipts, okay, and or other adequate records. So, kailangan daw substantiated, meaning kompleto, meaning supported siya yung purchase mo. May ebidensya na meron ka talagang, kasi it's a big amount, di ba? Pag sinabing vehicle. So, dapat may official document ka to support it. Okay? Pag wala kang document na sabihin mo, ay binili ko yan sa brother ko, binili ko yan doon sa tapos record mo sa FS mo, wala kang resibo. Hindi mo siya pwedeng gamitin, okay, as input VAT. And letter D, the direct connection or relation of the vehicles to the development, operation, and conduct, okay. Yung relation daw or connection ng vehicles sa development, operation, or conduct of trade or business or profession of the taxpayer must be substantiated. Okay. Non-conformance daw, pag hindi ka nakakomply dito sa apat, shall render the vehicle non-depreciable for income tax purposes. Okay. The input VAT on the purchase, okay, of a non-depreciable vehicles and all input VAT on maintenance expenses incurred are likewise, okay, the term is disallowed. Hindi siya allowed for taxation. Kasi hindi ka nakakomply, di ba? Sa apat na requirement, okay? Does not exceed 2.4 million. Pag nag-exceed, hindi ka pwede mag-deduct ng depreciation sa income tax reporting, except, no, unless yung main line of business mo is transport operation. So, pwede ka. Other than that, hindi ka pwedeng mag-deduct pag nag-exceed ka ng 2.4 million na threshold. Okay. And again, dapat substantiated siya ng official receipts, not ordinary receipts. Dapat official. And letter D, the direct connection or relation. So, ano ba yung vehicle mo? Ginagamit ba talaga yan sa trade o business mo? Or it's just a vehicle ng bodyguards mo, vehicle na hindi related dun sa business mo, no? Parang lang siya, incidental, parang display lang siya, so hindi siya pwede dito. Okay, hindi siya pwede sa input VAT. Okay, dapat yung apat, ma-comply mo siya. Okay? Ano naman yung input VAT? Kasi sabi natin, di ba, apat yan yung special rules. Input VAT sa non-depreciable. Next naman is construction in progress. Ano ba yung input VAT dyan sa construction in progress? So, yun yung cost na, siyempre in progress, uncompleted. Okay? Hindi pa siya kompleto na construction of an asset. This is the accumulated progress billing. Progress billing meaning example, 30% yung complete, yan pa lang yung bibill ng contractor sa'yo. Okay, tawag dyan, progress billing. As they move certain percentages, yung progreso ng construction, yan lang yung binibill nila. Okay, for the extent of completion of the asset. Upon completion of the construction, okay, the construction in progress account is reclassified, okay, to an appropriate asset account. Example, building, no? Improper asset account is building worth like 100 million. Pag 30% completed pa lang siya, so 100 million times 30%, so 30 million, di ba? Yan pala yung magiging balance ng construction in progress dash building na account. So hindi siya asset account, di ba? Yun lang yung certain percentage. Sabi ng revenue regulation, does not consider construction in progress as purchase of capital. Okay? Does not. Remember guys, does not consider as a purchase of capital goods, but as purchase of service. Di ba? Nagpapakonstruct ka, pero hindi siya purchase of capital goods. Purchase of service daw, sabi ni BIR. Hence, the input tax is creditable upon payment. Yan. Binabayaran mo sila based sa service nila. Okay, there's no asset there. Okay, of the contractor. And is neither credited upon completion of the construction activity nor amortized over a period not exceeding 60 months. Hindi pala siya ginagamit guys. Neither credited. So, hindi siya kinikredit sa output tax upon completion. Okay, ulit. Hence, the input tax is creditable upon payment of each billings. So, yung input tax daw, kinikredit upon payment ng progress billings. Each billing. Example, mag-bill yung contractor, 30% completion. Okay, ito yung charge ko sa'yo. Okay, babayaran ni supplier, ni owner, yung contractor niya. So, upon payment daw, magre-record yung nagbayad. Okay, nagbayad dun sa service. Magre-record siya ng input tax. And is neither credited upon completion of the construction activity nor amortized. Siyempre, ano pa yung amortize mo? Kasi every progress billing payment mo, nagre-record ka ng input tax, di ba? So, upon completion, ubos na. Tapos mo na record lahat ng input tax mo. So, yan lang yun. Input VAT on construction in progress. So, yung timing dyan, upon payment, okay, of each progress billing. Yan lang yung key terms natin. Kailan tandaan. Okay? To illustrate, ayan, para mas malinaw, no? In January 2020, si Tandag Corporation, nag-hire siya ng construction company, si Aliling, to build a small sales building. Yung worth ng building is 11.2 million. Okay, yan yung contract price, inclusive. Okay, inclusive of VAT. The construction was subject to 10% retention. Okay, yung concept ng retention, i-retain ni Tandag Corporation yung 10% ng 11.2, which marirelease lang yan yung 10% upon completion na. Okay, release upon completion. The following quarterly data in 2020 relates to the project. Okay, quarterly billing, so yung Aliling Construction, nag-bill siya ng 2.2 million. Okay, and then yung payment ni is 2.016. So, yung difference yan, I think, yung 10% retention, no? Hindi lahat to binabayaran ni Tandag Corporation. Only the 90% na lang ng ito. So, kailan niya i-release? Okay? I-release niya yan yung 10% upon completion na. So, first quarter, ito. Second quarter, ito naman. Third quarter. Sabi natin, 11.2, di ba? Yung contract price. So, at the end of the year, meron siyang 10 million. So, saan ang galing? Yung fourth quarter kasi, di ba? Meron dyan yung fourth quarter. Diba? Ito, 10% may retention. 10% may retention din to, second quarter. Yung fourth quarter, lahat ng na-retain niya dito,
ni-retain niya na 10%, dito niya babayaran, tama? For that matter. So kaya yung payment niya nung fourth quarter, 2.1 million. Mas mataas. So all in all, yung binayaran niya is 10 million. The input tax claimable in each quarter shall be computed from the payments, not from the billing or construction in progress. Sabi natin sa taas, di ba? Payment. Payment of each progress billings. Hindi naman sinabi based doon sa yung amount is based sa billing, kundi sa payment. Okay? So, dito tayo sa payments na column. Magmumultiply ng 12%. So, ito siya. So, yung claimable niya, 216. So, same din dito, 2138. Okay? I think you need to correct these numbers lang. Okay? Just to arrive to same amount of input back. Okay? The fourth quarter. Okay? Just correct it na lang. Okay. Moving forward, since the input VAT is claimed while the construction is still in progress, okay, while, di ba may progress billings, so, no further additional input VAT can be claimed upon completion. Wala ka nang kukumputin, okay, na input VAT at the end of the completion. Kasi, di ba yung total price is 11.2 million. Okay? So magkano yung ano niyan? Yung 12, yung net, kasi sabi inclusive of VAT, so i-divide mo sa 1.12. So yung net contract price niya, I think that's 10 million, di ba? Tama? Yeah. No further additional input VAT. Wala ka na i-claim at the end of the, kumbaga, construction or upon completion. If the taxpayer purchases the materials to be used, okay, in the construction, the contractor only bills the labor. Kung labor lang yung binibill ni construction, shall be claimed upon payment of the billing. Same pa din, input VAT on purchases of the materials shall be claimed upon purchase. Okay. Meron kasi mga construction na yung owner or yung taxpayer, siya yung bumibili ng materials. Tapos yung contractor, ano lang, service lang yung binabayaran. So, yung input VAT dun sa purchases ng materials, upon purchase, dun siya magre-record. Okay? Hindi dun sa billings. Okay. Third one, input VAT on purchase of real property on, okay, the unique arrangement here is the installment. Bumili ka ng real property, pero installment siya. So, paano tayo re-report ng input VAT kay BIR? Okay? If the seller of real property is subject to VAT on the sale on deferred payment basis, not on the installment plan, the input VAT shall be claimable by the buyer at the time of the execution of the instrument of sale subject to amortization rule. So, i-amortize mo pa rin siya on depreciable properties. Okay? We will discuss that in our following example. Tapos, however, meron siyang however, if the purchase is installment and the seller is allowed to bill the output VAT in installment, the buyer can also claim the input VAT in the same period as the seller recognizes. So, same dapat. Okay? If the purchase daw is by installment, the seller is allowed to bill the output VAT in installment. The buyer can also claim the input VAT in the same period. Okay? Dapat match sila. So, si supplier magre-record ng VAT for this month. So, example, 6 months, no? Installment siya. So, ganun din yung pag-record ng input VAT doon sa buyer. Okay? In other words, the output VAT appearing in every billing statement of the seller at every installment which the buyer is obliged to pay is the input VAT claimable by the buyer. This means buyer also claims the input VAT in installments. So, same din sila. Installment din si buyer. Yan lang yung concept ng real property. Paano mag-recognize ng input VAT? Okay. Input VAT on goods, okay, or properties deemed sold. The claimable input VAT on goods or properties previously deemed sold shall be the portion lang, okay, ng output VAT imposed upon goods deemed sold which corresponds to the goods purchased by the buyer. So, doon din tayo magbe-base ng input VAT natin. Okay? Previously deemed sold shall be the portion ng output VAT. Kung magkano yung output VAT of that deemed sold na goods or properties. Okay. Another one, we will discuss the presumptive input VAT. Well, there's a shortcut here sa ilalim. Ito yung code word natin on qualified processor. Processor ng sa, meaning sardines, ng okay, mackerel, ng milk, ko, meaning cooking oil, pa is for packed noodles, and refined sugar for re. So, yung code word natin, samami ko pare. Okay, samami ko pare. Okay. Pare, mag-ano man tayo, inuman. Hindi, magpaalam ka muna sa mami ko pare. So, yan yung presumptive. Presumptive, meaning pinipresume lang yung input VAT natin. Presume. Yan yung sa sardines, mackerel, milk, refined sugar, and cooking oil. So, binaliktad lang yung ko, tsaka yung re. Okay? Pack and re, diba? Refined sugar, cooking oil. Noodle base, instant meals shall be allowed a presumptive input tax equivalent to, yan. Let's remember this. Take note, sang 4% of the gross value in money. So, term processing, of course, usual processing of these items. Okay? 4% for the gross value in money. Yan lang. Kailangan natin tandaan. The presumptive input VAT is a tax incentive. Again, this is a tax incentive. It's like transitional, okay? Transitional VAT. Incentive rin siya to these possessors of VAT exempt, okay, raw materials into processed food. Diba? Nagpa-process sila ng food, tapos yung binibili nila is raw material, so tax exemption, diba? VAT exempt. Pero binigyan sila ng tax incentive, so since wala kayong nire-record na input tax, sige, bigyan namin kayo ng 4% na presumptive input tax. Yan lang yun. The apparent reason behind the tax incentive is the absence nga, okay, ng adequate claimable input VAT. Kasi subject sila sa VAT kasi process na, di ba? Tapos magre-reklamo yung company, ay BIR, wala kaming input VAT kasi yung source namin exempt naman yan sa VAT. So ngayon, nagbigay si BIR ng incentive. Sige, kasi kawawa naman kayo, bigyan namin kayo ng 4% na incentive. Okay, yan yung tawag na presumptive input VAT. Okay? Just quick illustration lang. Okay, exchange solvent, cans, bottles. Okay, in short, those items lang na VAT exempt. Ito lang 1.2. Yan lang yung pwede sa presumptive. The rest kasi, hindi naman yan VAT exempt eh. Taxable yan lahat. Except sa COPRA. Okay? Yan lang yun. So, 1.2 times 4%, 48,000. Okay, assuming that there are no other sources of input VAT, the VAT payable for the month shall be computed. So, total revenue, okay, example, 2.8, ayan, times 12. Regular input VAT, subject siya sa regular input VAT. Yung nasa ibaba. Tama? Ito, 51,600 din total. Okay? Just correct it, guys. I think this is 6,000. Correct? Okay. 6,000, yeah. So, tapos, add natin 48,000 na inalaw ni BIR, 4% ng 1.2. Okay? So, babayaran ng taxpayer, 236,000. Okay? Ito yung nagiging incentive, 48,000. Okay, moving forward, another illustration. Yung processor of sardines natin. Okay? What we need to do is to identify ano ba yung um, pwedeng malagay sa presumptive natin. Okay? Fresh sardines, of course. Hot chili, tomato, ordinary salt, mga VAT exempt yun, di ba? So, ito yung tin can tsaka labels yung may input VAT. Okay? Sardines, including mackerel, are marine products, not agricultural products. The presumptive input VAT, a tax credit, shall be construed against the taxpayer. Okay? Hot chili, tomato, ordinary salt, yan yung agricultural purchases. Okay. Fresh sardines, okay, sabi nga, hindi sila agricultural product. Okay. The presumptive input VAT, a tax credit, shall be construed against the taxpayer. So, yung ginamit dito na presumptive VAT, yung tatlo lang. Hot chili, tomato, ordinary salt. Okay? Another illustration for processor of refined sugar for others. Okay? Hindi siya makaklaim ng presumptive input VAT because it does not own the sugar it processes. Okay? It does not own. Okay? Operates a sugar during the month it processes 10 million. Okay? For others, di ba? Processor lang sila ng sugar and produce 40 million worth of sugar. Sugar recharges 10% lang, 'di ba? Production as processing charge. Hindi naman kanila eh, 'di ba? Nagpo-process lang siya. Okay, sugar shall be subject to 12% VAT on its processing fees. If sugar produces, kung sila talaga yung nag-produce ng raw sugar, its processing fees shall be exempt from VAT. Okay. Yun lang. Yun lang yung concept behind it. Okay. Ito yung last part, madali na lang yan kasi we discussed it earlier, di ba? Standard input VAT. Yan yung kung sa government natin. Magkano nga? That's 5%. Yung tamang term dyan is final withholding VAT. Okay. The government, instrumentalities, agencies, or GOCCs shall withhold the final VAT. Yung tawag dyan, final VAT, di ba? Before making the payment. So, sila yung magre-remit within 10 days the following month, okay, doon sa BIR. Yan lang yun. So, standard input VAT, the 5% withheld final VAT shall be deemed the actual VAT payable of the seller. Okay? Due to the final withholding VAT, the sellers to the government's GOCCs can effectively claim only 7%. Okay? 7% sales as input VAT. This is called standard input VAT. Kasi yung final VAT na 5%, 5 plus 7, that's 12, di ba? So yung 5%, yan na yung withhold ng government. Sila na mag-remit sa BIR. Okay? The actual input VAT on the sale to government would have to be increased or decreased to conform to the amount of the standard input VAT. The adjustment is close to, again, this is a review ng previous natin discussion. Okay? Kino-close siya as to expenses, no, loss or income or gain. Okay, to illustrate, very quick lang. Okay? Very quick lang na illustration, 100 sales to government. So invoice at 112, so inclusive of output VAT. The taxpayer purchased the same for 90,000 exclusive of 10,000. Hence, yung output VAT niya is 12,000, right? O difference 100 sa 112. Yan yung standard, sabi ni BIR, 7% lang. Okay, 7% ng sales. Magkano yung sales mo to government? So 7% ng 100,000, that's 7,000. Yan lang pwede mong ma-minus, di ba? Less. Tapos yung VAT payable mo, 5% withheld. Yung 5,000 na yan yung final VAT na withhold na ng government. Sila magre-remit kay BIR. The difference between the actual input VAT, yung difference nun, versus dito sa 7,000. Kasi sabi mo, 10,800 yung actual input VAT mo eh. Tapos yung ni-record ni BIR na ni government is only the 7% part lang. So ito, 3.8 addition to expenses. So pwede siyang magamit as deduction doon sa income mo during the presentation ng income tax. Doon naman siya pupunta sa income tax return. So we have here actually review lang din no, ng introduction natin sa input VAT. Actually, na-discuss na natin to. Journal entry method which is master na master mo from accounting 111. Ano? The only unique here is nagdagdag lang tayo ng actual input VAT, final VAT withheld. So sabi natin yung difference ng 10.8 saka yung 7%, diba? 10.8 saka yung 7%, 3.8. Iko-close natin yan sa income and expense summary, okay? Or loss. Yeah, actually so easy lang ano. It's just a matter of debit credit. So i-match mo lang. Okay? I hope you could review our first discussion on withholding VAT, di ba? Mga final withholding VAT ng government. So this is the journal entry method. Okay? What if the seller is non-VAT registered? What if daw yung seller hindi naman non-VAT? Hindi naman VAT, okay? The government shall withhold 3% final percentage tax on the sale before payment. 3%. So, in general, 5%, di ba? Pag non-VAT, 3% yung withhold ni government. Okay? Di ba? 5 to. So, kung non-VAT, 3%. Okay? 3% final percentage tax yung tawag. Okay? Ayan. So, wala nang babayaran si taxpayer kasi withhold na ni government, di ba? At the end of the month, ma-minus na lang sa tax payable na. Kasi non-VAT siya eh. No? Okay. I think this is our last discussion. Yeah? So, ano ba yung input VAT carryover? In short, yan lang yung mga sobrang input VAT mo. Mas mataas yung input VAT mo sa output VAT. So, kaya sinabi, carry over mo na yan next period. Okay? To illustrate, basic example natin. At prior to that, may mga rules tayo, 4. Okay? The input VAT carry over of the prior quarter is deductible in the first month of the current. Okay? Dapat yung prior quarter, dapat sa first month siya pwede ma-deduct. Okay. The first month of the quarter is deductible in the second month. Okay. Actually, to illustrate these rules, mas mabilis. Ito lang siya. Diba? Ito yung output. Ito yung total input. Tapos may monthly siya. Diba? First month, second month, third. Yung rule niya ganito. Prior quarter. So, third month yan. Tapos present quarter, first, second month, and third month. Diba? Meaning, ito yung present quarter. Example, end of the quarters. Example, ito prior quarter natin. Third month. So, meron tayong excess na 40,000, di ba? Output VAT mo, 350. Less mo, 390. So, may excess ka na 40,000. Kikarry over mo yun dito. Yan. Napunta na siya dito, di ba? Second month. Pwede mo siyang i-minus. Wag dito. Okay? Wag dito. Second month. Dapat, sabi ng rules natin, dapat sa first month siya ma-minus. So, 20, 100,000, i-less mo pa yung carry over. So, may carry over na naman tayo, di ba? Not an input VAT carry over. Hindi siya input VAT carry over kasi 120 less 100,000, may babayaran ka talagang 20,000. Pero in-apply mo lang 40,000 na carry over. Okay? So, yung net mo is negative 20. Okay? Wala kang babayaran. I-apply mo yan the following month of the present quarter. Okay. 140 less mo 145, dapat yung babayaran mo is 5,000. Kaso may carry over ka pa na 20. So 15. Meron ka pang tawag dito. Meron ka pang natira 15,000 carry over. Sa third month mo 490 inclusive na yan guys inclusive ng first, second month. So, third month. Kasi quarterly, diba? quarterly yung reporting natin. So total, tapos total rin ng carry over mo is 40,000. Okay? Yung neto niyan, 135. Yan yung VAT payable mo for the third month. Nakuha? So, nagulat kayo, sir, bakit yung third month? Sobrang laki. Kasi kasama na dyan yung first tsaka second month. Kino-consolidate lang, kumbaga. Okay? The taxpayer will not pay VAT in the prior month. So, hindi siya magbabayad. Yung negative niya kasi mas malaki yung input VAT mo. Tama? So, and second month, wala ring babayaran of the quarter since there is a negative VAT payable. The taxpayer shall pay 135 VAT in the third month of the quarter. Okay? So, ito lang. Parang sinulat ng discussion. Okay? And another illustration natin. I think this is just a matter of presentation. Sa third month prior quarter is may carryover. Okay, sa second may payable. Tapos meron naman dito negative, mas malaki yung input. Tapos overall, ganun lang siya. Okay? Yung unique lang dito, first month may positive ka na babayaran. Tama? Okay. Yan, in-explain lang. So, ano ba excluded sa carryover? Ito, mga advance VAT, okay, which has been applied for a tax credit. Kung nag-apply ka ng tax credit, so hindi mo na siya pwedeng gamitin. Input VAT payable attributable to zero rated, hindi rin siya pwede. Okay, excluded nga di ba? Input VAT, you just memorize this guys, yung tatlo na hindi pwedeng magamit. Attributable to zero rated. Basta zero rated, we're done discussing this sa previous module natin. Zero rated claim. Okay? Yeah, I think that's it for our last na slide, guys.
That's it, guys, for today. So hopefully we learned a lot about input value added tax, and I am so excited to share with you some more about our topics in our module 8. But for today, try to absorb everything that we discussed tonight, and aton nga midsummer exam will cover module 1 to module 7. Okay, again, module 1 to module 7 until input VAT. Okay, so guys, if you have further question, just feel free to message me, Messenger, Instagram, or there is a Facebook and YouTube live. Okay, so guys, I'm your millennial mentor, millennial instructor. Just want to inspire you and give you some dose of motivation that you can do it. You can do it. Just set aside those negative thoughts in your mind. Set aside those stressful things in your life. I know it's hard. I know life is not easy, but it doesn't stop us to move forward. Okay? That's it, guys. Thank you. See you in our next episode of Business Taxation.